Welcome to this balance meditation, a time, a season to be still, to receive, to give yourself the gift of a sacred pause. To walk away from the hustle and bustle, to be steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord. This is time for your sacred breath, a time for reflection, a time to remember what's really important. So your steps are ordered, so your walk is sure, so your breath is deep, so your mind is clear. I invite you to breathe deeply and focus on balance. Ecclesiastes, the 3rd chapter reads, "For everything there is a season, and a time for every matter under heaven, a time to be born, and a time to die, a time to plant, and a time to pluck up what is planted, a time to kill, and a time to heal, a time to break down, and a time to build up, a time to weep, and a time to laugh, a time to mourn, and a time to dance, a time to cast away stones, and a time to gather stones together, a time to embrace, and a time to refrain from embracing." And breathe. When we remember that there are seasons in our life for growing, for planting, for nurturing, when we remember there are seasons for solitude and seasons for connection, we are not overwhelmed by the current appearance of things, because we are aware this too shall pass. There are dry seasons and there are rainy seasons. And so we recognize the larger picture and are not caught up or distracted by the appearance of things. There are times in our lives when we will have a large harvest, and there are times in our lives when we will have little. There are times in our lives when we are surrounded by many, and there are times in our lives when we must walk the path alone. Seasons. Seasons come and seasons go, and the season does not define you. The season is not the source of your peace or your strength. In this season, there are things to appreciate, there are things to learn, and there are things to release. Breathe. I choose to embrace this passing season and the lessons that it holds. Breathe. Second Peter 3:17 says, "You therefore, beloved, knowing this beforehand, take care that you are not carried away with the era of lawless people and lose your own stability. Breathe. There are times in your life, seasons in your life, when you will be surrounded by people who create drama, people who create trauma. There are times in your life when there are toxic people in your family or in your church or in your neighborhood or on your job. There are times in your life when you have to deal with difficult people, but you make a decision to hold on to your own peace. You make a decision to create sanctuary for yourself right where you are. And you breathe. And you take note of the impact of their presence. And at the same time, you make a decision that you will not give them your peace, that you will not turn over your day to their confusion and their dysfunction, that no matter who is around me, I maintain the capacity to go within and breathe. John 16:33 reads, I have said these things to you, that in me you may have peace. In the world you will have tribulation, but take heart, I have overcome the world. You will have peace. And the kind of peace you have doesn't mean every day will be perfect. It doesn't mean every day will be trouble-free. But in the midst of the difficulty, the challenges of the day, in the midst of the deadlines, and all that you have on your plate, you can still have peace. So take heart and be encouraged, knowing that God has already overcome the source of your stress. And so you can breathe, release, and claim your peace, and reclaim your peace. Even when the storms come in your life, even when challenges arise, in every area, it seems, of your life, you still breathe and remember, God is still God, and I choose peace. I choose peace. God is still God, and I choose to walk in balance. I will not be thrown off by the arrows or by the storms. I walk in balance. Breathe. Philippians 4:11 reads, Not that I am speaking of being in need, for I have learned in whatever situation I am to be content. And so, just as we recognize there are different seasons, we learn how to have peace whatever situation we are in. It doesn't mean that we are in agreement or support or condoning the drama that may be around us, but it means that I am contained as a spiritual being having a physical experience. And so in the natural realm, on a physical level, there are things that are disruptive that may happen. But I also recognize that I can see things in the spirit, and in the spirit, I see my peace. And in the spirit, I see the source of my strength. And in the spirit, I am reminded of the source of my joy. And so I am not moved. I breathe. How is this possible? It's possible because of my mindset and what I choose to focus on. Romans 12:2 says, "Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that by testing you may discern what is the will of God, what is good and acceptable and perfect." And so I'm able to discern, I'm able to determine, to tell the difference between those things which are for my good and those things that do not serve me by the renewal of my mind. Renewing my mind means I have to let go of self-sabotaging thoughts. I have to let go of distorted, dysfunctional thinking. I have to let go of old habits and patterns that do not affirm my life. And so I am transformed. I am completely changed by shifting my mindset. And so I am not conformed to this world, meaning whatever is happening on the physical realm does not serve as the final authority of who I am or what kind of day I'm having today or what this moment looks like. But I am able to go deeper and go higher. I am able to expand the realm of my possibility and my vision. I am able to maintain my peace and my balance because I turn away from those things that are disruptive to me, and I focus on those things that affirm and empower me, and my mind is renewed, and so I breathe. Casting all your anxieties on Him because He cares for you. 1 Peter 5:7, casting all your worries, your anxieties, your stress on God because God cares for you. You do not have to carry the weight of the world. There is a God. You do not have to carry everything by yourself. You don't have to do it all by yourself. There is a God, and that God cares for you. And that God has already stepped in the situation with you and for you, and so you can breathe. You don't have to lose it. You don't have to zap out. You don't have to go off. You can be still and know that God is God. You can be still and know that every tear, every worry, every concern has already been noted and is being ministered to even now, that you might have relief and peace. As you breathe now, I speak lightness over you, that it will not be as heavy as it's been, that you give yourself permission to release. You don't have to hold on so tightly. You can lift up your hands, lift up your heart, lift up your spirit, and release. Breathe. Genesis 2:2-3 reads, "And on the seventh day, God finished God's work, all the work that God had done. And God rested on the seventh day from all of the work that God had done. So God blessed the seventh day and made it holy, because on it God rested from all of God's work that God had done in creation." As you breathe and release, you embrace and create Sabbath. The way to live in balance is to press pause. The way to live in balance is to not always react to all of the things that come up, that resurface, that appear to grab your attention, to grab your hope, to grab your peace. But instead you step back and commit to self-care. You step back and do the things that nourish you and nurture you. Do the things that feed your spirit. You step away from the treadmill and you breathe. This is your Sabbath. You are on holy ground. You have a divine appointment for stillness. You have a divine appointment for the very peace of God to bless you and keep you. You have a divine appointment for the face and radiance of God to shine on you and give you peace, and give you peace. This is your Sabbath. Honor it so you can walk in balance. This is your sacred pause to breathe and be restored. Receive it. Protect it. Dwell in it. Embrace it. Honor it. There are things you need to say no to protect your Sabbath. There are times when the phone and the internet and the television need to go off so you can protect your Sabbath. There are some requests that you cannot fulfill. There is some people pleasing in you that you have to release. there are some shoulds in your mind that you need to let go of, and give yourself permission to breathe. You are worth protecting. Your peace is worth preserving. Take your Sabbath and rest and breathe. This is the pathway to balance. This is the pathway to balance. Breathe.